The rain was falling sideways when Amara Okonkwo's fingers slipped on her phone screen for the third time. She was crouched behind a dumpster in an alley off 8th Avenue. Her heart pounding so hard she could feel it in her teeth. Her son, Malik, barely 14 months old, was asleep against her chest in the baby carrier. His small face pressed into the warmth of her neck. He didn't know. He couldn't know. And that was the only thing keeping her from breaking apart completely. Behind her, 3 blocks back, the black Lincoln had turned its headlights off. That was when she knew. For 6 weeks, Amara had told herself she was being paranoid. The same car at the grocery store. The same jacket 2 tables over at the diner. The delivery driver who'd shown up to her apartment with a package she'd never ordered, then asked if she lived alone. She'd told her best friend, Keisha. She'd told the police officer who'd taken her report and smiled sympathetically and said, "Ma'am," without a direct threat, "our hands are tied." Her hands were not tied tonight. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold the phone. Marcus Hale, her ex-boyfriend, Malik's biological father, though he'd never signed a single piece of paper acknowledging it. The man she'd escaped 18 months ago when he'd held her down on the kitchen floor and told her she belonged to him until he decided otherwise. She'd moved 3 times. New phone, new job, new last name on her mailbox. She'd done everything right. He had still found her. The text to Keisha was typed with thumbs that didn't feel like hers anymore. "I think they followed me. Marcus is here. I have Malik. I'm behind the deli on 46th. Please. I don't know what to do." She hit send. She waited. The typing bubble appeared. Then a response that stopped her heart. "Who is this?" Amara stared at the screen. Her vision blurred. She scrolled up frantically. The contact name wasn't Keisha. It was 3 letters and a number. HD07. A contact she had absolutely no memory of saving. Behind her, a car door closed. Quiet. Deliberate. The sound of a man who wasn't in a hurry because he knew exactly where his prey was. She typed with hands she couldn't feel. "Wrong number. I'm sorry. My ex is hunting me. I have my baby. Please don't call the police, he has friends there. I'm so sorry." She pressed send and closed her eyes. 3 seconds passed. Then the phone vibrated once. "Don't move. Don't make a sound. I know that deli. Stay behind the dumpster. 7 minutes. Amara read it twice. 3 times. Her thumb hovered. "Who are you?" The reply came back before she'd finished the question. "Someone who was supposed to be dead tonight. 7 minutes. Amara." She had never told him her name. Welcome back to the channel, beautiful souls. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Because what you're about to witness is the night that one stranger, one wrong text, and one baby asleep against his mother's chest rewrote the map of an entire city. A woman running from a man the law couldn't touch. A man sitting in a penthouse with a loaded gun and a single reason left to live. And a text message that arrived 7 seconds before everything changed. Drop a comment right now telling me where you're watching from. I want to know who's riding with me tonight. Now let's get back to that alley. The rain was coming down harder now. Malik stirred against her chest, made a small sound, and Amara pressed her lips to his forehead, whispering, "Shoo, baby, shoo. Mama's here. Mama's here." She could hear Marcus's voice now. Not words yet, just the low register of him talking to someone on a phone. He was close, maybe 20 feet from the mouth of the alley. If he turned that corner, there was nowhere left to run. She looked at the phone again. 7 minutes. 6 now. Her knees were soaking through her jeans. The dumpster smelled like old meat and rain and something chemical. Malik's breathing was even. A small mercy. If he woke up, if he cried. The Lincoln's engine started. Amara's heart dropped through her stomach. Marcus was pulling the car closer. He was going to sweep the alley from the car, headlights on, and when he saw her, the phone buzzed. "Look up. Slowly. The fire escape above you." She looked up. A black rope, no, a tactical line, had been lowered down the side of the brick building behind her. It hadn't been there 10 seconds ago. At the top, barely visible against the night sky, a silhouette. A man. Motionless. Another buzz. I'm going to drop. When I land, don't scream. Don't move. Just hold your son. Amara's whole body was shaking. She nodded at nothing, at no one. Just nodded because her voice was gone. The silhouette moved. And then he was simply there. Not climbing, not rappelling, dropping 3 stories in a controlled fall that ended in a silent crouch 6 feet from her. He rose without a sound. Black tactical clothing. A long coat over it, somehow dry despite the rain. His face was half in shadow, but she could see the sharp line of his jaw, the darkness of his hair, the absolute stillness of a man who had done this 1,000 times. He looked at her. He looked at Malik. Something in his face, something she couldn't name, shifted and then went still again. Amara, he said. His voice was lower than the text had suggested. Careful. A faint accent underneath the English. Korean, she would realize later. Stay behind me. Do exactly what I say. Who are you? She whispered. He didn't answer that. Instead, he reached into his coat and pulled out something small and black. Not a gun. Something else. He pressed a button. And at the mouth of the alley, 40 feet away, Marcus Hale's Lincoln Navigator suddenly lost every light it had. Headlights, dashboard, everything. Dark. He'll come check the car, the stranger said quietly. When he does, I'll move him. You stay. Count to 30 after you hear the second sound. Then walk. Don't run. To the black SUV that will be at the corner of 46th and 8th. The driver's name is June. He will say soul to you. You will say fire. Do you understand? I don't. Do you understand? It wasn't a question. She nodded. He was already moving. She never saw exactly what happened next. She heard Marcus curse in the distance. She'd know that voice anywhere, that tone he used when something inconvenienced him. And then a soft thump, like a heavy coat hitting a wall. Then silence. Then a second sound, quieter. A door closing somewhere it shouldn't have closed. Amara counted to 30. Her legs barely worked. She walked out of the alley with her baby pressed against her chest. And the black SUV was exactly where he'd said it would be. The driver rolled down the tinted window. A young Korean man, maybe 30, eyes alert. Soul, he said. Fire, she whispered. He opened the back door for her. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. The SUV drove for 40 minutes in complete silence. Amara sat in the back with Malik still sleeping against her chest, her mind cycling between terror and a strange floating calm that she would later understand was shock. June, the driver, didn't speak. He didn't ask questions. He didn't turn on music. He simply drove, checking his mirrors with a rhythm so consistent it was almost hypnotic. When the SUV finally stopped, they were in an underground parking structure lit in soft blue. Private. No other cars. An elevator waited with its doors already open. June stepped out, opened her door. Mr. Han is upstairs, he said. He asked me to say you are safe here. No one gets into this building without his name. Who is Mr. Han? June hesitated, just for a second. He will tell you himself. The elevator had no buttons. It simply rose. 30 floors. 40. 52. The doors opened into a penthouse that stole her breath. Floor-to-ceiling windows wrapped the entire space, showing a view of the city that looked like someone had tipped a jewelry box onto a black tablecloth. Polished concrete floors. Warm wood. A kitchen that belonged in a magazine. And standing at the far window, his back to her, the man from the alley. He'd taken off the long coat. He wore a black shirt, sleeves rolled to the elbows, exposing forearms marked with dark ink that disappeared under the fabric. He was taller than he'd seemed in the dark, broader, and when he turned, Amara finally saw his face in full light. He was younger than she'd expected. Maybe 34, 35. Sharp cheekbones. A small scar through his left eyebrow. Eyes so dark they looked almost black, and they were looking at her with an intensity that made her instinctively tighten her arms around Malik. Amara Okonkwo, he said. Born October 14th. Moved from Houston 18 months ago. Works as a night shift medical receptionist at Mount Sinai West. Son's name is Malik, 14 months old. No father listed on the birth certificate. Amara's mouth went dry. How do you? My name is Han Do-yoon, he said quietly. And I've known who you were for exactly 9 days. What? He gestured to the low leather sofa. Please, sit. Your son needs somewhere soft. And you need to hear this sitting down. She didn't move. Tell me who you are first. Something almost like a smile touched the corner of his mouth. And then didn't. I run an organization in this city, he said. The name would mean nothing to you. The kind of work I do, let's say it exists in a place where the law doesn't go, but where people still need protection. 9 days ago, one of my men intercepted a contract. Paid hit. Not on me. On a woman named Amara Okonkwo and her son, to be carried out by a man named Marcus Hale. I had 72 hours to decide whether it was my problem. Amara's legs gave out. She sank onto the sofa because she had no choice. Marcus was going to. Tonight, Do-yoon said. He was going to do it tonight. The alley wasn't chance. He'd been tracking you for 6 weeks, so he'd know the one night a week you walked home from the late shift with your son from Keisha's apartment. Tonight was the night. How did you? The number you texted, he said. HD07. It's a number that exists on 3 phones in this world. Mine is one of them. I gave it to a man I did business with last year. A man who works at the deli on 46th. I had him put it into the phone of every single woman who came through his shop in the last month. In case, he stopped. In case one of them ever needed it. Amara stared at him. You put your number in my phone? I put it in 400 phones. I've been waiting 9 days to see if yours would be the one that used it. The silence that followed was the kind that has weight. Malik stirred. Amara shifted him gently, and Do-yoon, without saying a word, walked to the far side of the room, opened a door, and disappeared for 30 seconds. When he came back, he was carrying a folded baby blanket, clearly new, still with the tag on it, and a small bottle of water. He set them on the coffee table in front of her. He didn't touch her. He didn't come closer than he had to. The bedroom down the hall is yours, he said. There's a crib. There are clothes in his size. A woman named Mrs. Park will arrive in the morning. She's taken care of children for my family for 30 years. You don't have to accept any of this. You can walk out of this building in the morning and I will have a car take you anywhere in the country you want to go, with enough money to start again. But I need you to know the truth first, so you can make the choice with your eyes open. Amara looked at the blanket, at her sleeping son, at the man standing 6 feet away with his hands deliberately at his sides. Tell me, she whispered. Marcus Hale didn't hire that hit alone, Do-yoon said. He couldn't afford it. He was fronted the money by a man named Dennis Vance, your ex-boyfriend's uncle. Do you know that name? Amara went cold. Dennis Vance, Marcus's uncle. The one who owned 3 buildings in Queens and sat on a city commission. The one who'd looked at her at a family dinner 2 years ago and said, Marcus, if she ever tries to take anything from this family, you let me know. She'd thought he meant money. He has 6 grandchildren, Do-yoon said quietly. Malik would be his 7th. The only black one. The only one born outside of marriage. The only one who, under a will Dennis filed 4 months ago, would have a legal claim to a portion of an estate worth approximately $40 million. He's a baby, Amara whispered. He's a liability, Do-yoon said. To a man like Dennis Vance, that's the same thing. Amara pressed Malik closer, tears finally breaking free. Not dramatic sobs, the quiet kind. The kind that come when you've been holding your breath for 18 months and finally let it out. Do-yoon waited. When she could speak again, she said, Why did you save us? You could have let the contract happen. It wasn't your business. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he walked to the window, his back to her again. My sister, he said, was 23 when her husband beat her to death. She had a 6-month-old daughter. She had called me the night before. She had said, Appa, I think he's going to kill me. And I said, I'll come tomorrow. Another silence. My niece is 7 now. She lives with my mother in Busan. And every single woman in this city who sends a message saying, I think they followed me. I'm going to be there tomorrow. No, tonight. Not tomorrow. Never tomorrow again. He turned. His face was perfectly composed. His eyes were not. That's why I saved you, Amara. Not because it was my business. Because it should have been someone's business a long time before tonight. And no one came. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. Amara slept 4 hours and woke up thinking she dreamed it. The sheets were too soft. The light was wrong. Somewhere, very faintly, she could hear a woman humming in Korean, and the smell of something warm, rice, eggs, sesame, was drifting under the door. Then she remembered. She turned, heart leaping. Malik was in a crib beside the bed, safe, breathing, one small fist against his cheek. Someone had changed him into a soft cotton onesie she'd never seen before. Someone had done it without waking her. Someone who knew how to handle a sleeping child. She sat up slowly. There was a note on the nightstand, handwritten in careful English. Mrs. Park has prepared breakfast when you're ready. I'll be in my office, the door will be open. You're safe. D.Y. She dressed in clothes that had appeared folded on a chair, her size, everything her size, which she didn't want to think about, and she carried Malik into the main room. Mrs. Park was a small Korean woman in her 60s with silver hair pulled into a neat bun and the kind of face that had seen everything and decided to keep going anyway. She took one look at Malik, made a soft sound, and held out her arms. He eats rice porridge? She asked. Yes, he can. Good baby. Good mother. Mrs. Park's English was careful but warm. Sit. Eat. Boss said you don't eat enough. He is right, yes. Amara almost laughed. She hadn't eaten a full meal in 3 days. Maybe 4. The door to Duyun's office was open as promised. He was at a desk, 3 monitors in front of him, speaking quietly into a headset in Korean. When he saw her, he ended the call with a single word and stood. You slept. Not enough. But yes. Malik. The fact that he used her son's name did something to her chest she didn't have time to analyze. He's with Mrs. Park. He loves her already. I think he's decided she's his new grandmother. The almost smile appeared at the corner of his mouth again. She has that effect. She raised me after my grandmother passed. Amara studied him. In daylight, without tactical clothing, he looked both less and more dangerous. The scar was more visible. So were the edges of the tattoos on his forearms. Dark, intricate Korean characters woven with what looked like cranes. His hands were long and precise. He was watching her the same way he had last night. Not intrusively, carefully, like she was a fragile thing that might shatter if he moved wrong. Duyun, she said. He looked up sharply at the sound of his own name. What happens now? She asked. To Marcus. To Dennis. To me. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. She sat. Marcus, he said, is currently in a warehouse in New Jersey. He is alive. He will stay alive until I decide otherwise. I'm extracting information from him about the full network Dennis Vance uses, contacts, payments, other jobs that were being planned. When I have everything, Marcus will go to the FBI because I need him to testify, not to bleed. Do you understand the difference? Yes. Dennis Vance is the harder problem. He sits on a commission. He has political protection. He has money that buys silence. I cannot simply, he paused, choosing his words, remove him in the way Marcus will be removed. He requires something more elegant. And me? He looked at her for a long moment. That, he said, depends entirely on you. Amara held his gaze. Explain. Duyun folded his hands on the desk. There are 3 doors, he said. Door 1, you leave today. I put you on a plane to anywhere you want. New identity, enough money for 5 years, a network of people who can help you rebuild. You never hear from me again. Dennis Vance never finds you. I'll make sure of it. Door 2. You stay in this building, in this penthouse under my protection. while I dismantle Dennis Vance. That takes approximately 6 weeks. During that time, you don't leave. You don't contact anyone from your old life. Malik stays with you. When it's finished, you walk out free, with your name cleared and your son safe, and you never hear from me again either. Door 3. He was silent for a beat. Door 3, he said, is that you help me. Amara leaned forward. Help you how? Dennis Vance trusts Marcus. Marcus is currently unreachable, but Dennis doesn't know that yet. If the right woman, a woman Dennis believes is still being tracked, still running, still scared, reached out to Dennis directly and told him that Marcus had found her, but Marcus had said he wanted more money before he finished the job. You want me to call him? I want you to record him, Dune said softly. I want Dennis Vance to say, on tape, that he paid for the death of a 14-month-old child. That is the one thing that touches him. Political protection doesn't survive audio of a man ordering the murder of a baby. Nothing survives that. Amara's mouth was dry. He'd know my voice. Yes, that's why it has to be you. He'd have me killed the second he heard it. Which is why, Dune said, you wouldn't be anywhere near him. You would be in this building, on a secure line, and he would be in a restaurant I own, surrounded by my people, thinking he was alone. And if he doesn't say it, if he's too smart, then we try something else, and something else after that. Dennis Vance is going down, Amara. The question I'm asking you is whether you want to be the one who pushes him. Amara looked out the window. 52 stories below, the city was waking up. Somewhere down there, Dennis Vance was drinking coffee in a brownstone he'd bought with money that had bled from other people. Somewhere down there, mothers were walking their babies to daycare, unaware that a man had ordered their deaths from a leather chair. She thought about the alley, the dumpster, the smell of rain and old meat, Malik's breath against her neck. She thought about every time she'd gone to the police and been told her fear wasn't enough. She thought about no one came. Door 3, she said. Dune exhaled, very slowly, like he'd been waiting for the answer and hadn't known which one he wanted her to give. You're certain? I'm certain. He stood, walked around the desk, stopped 2 feet from her chair, close enough that she could see the flecks of lighter brown in his dark eyes. Then I need you to understand something, he said. From this moment forward, you are not alone. Ever. Not in a hallway. Not in an elevator. Not at a window. Not when you're sleeping. I will have people with you every minute until Dennis Vance is in a federal cell. And when it's over, he stopped. When it's over? When it's over, he said. Door 1 and Door 2 are still available to you. You are not trading your freedom for this help. You are not being bought. You are not being kept. You have my word on that. Amara looked up at him. And what about Door 4? He tilted his head slightly. There is no Door 4. There is, she said quietly. There's the one where, when this is over, I don't leave. Where I stay and find out what this is. Whatever this is. His face didn't change, but something behind his eyes did. Amara, I'm not asking for a promise, she said. I'm just telling you Door 4 exists, in case you were trying to make sure I had options. He was silent for a long time. Then he said very softly, I'll remember that door. If you're still watching, you are my people. Smash that like button, we're entering the final stretch, and what happens in the next 10 minutes is the reason this story exists. Subscribe so you don't miss part 2, because there will be a part 2. Comment Door 4 if you're ready for what comes next. Took 9 days to set it up. 9 days of Amara living in the penthouse, learning Duyun's schedule, learning the names of the men and women who moved through the building with quiet efficiency. Mrs. Park taught her how to make kimchi jjigae. June taught her how to tell when a car was following you from 4 blocks back. Duyun taught her nothing directly, but every night, after Malik was asleep, she would find him in his office and they would talk. About his sister. About her mother, who had died when Amara was 16. About the first time he'd ever held a gun, he was 12, and the last time he'd used one, 3 years ago, and he wouldn't say why. On the 9th night, he came to her bedroom door. Didn't knock. Didn't come in. Just stood in the hallway. Tomorrow, he said. She nodded. Are you afraid? Yes. Good. That means you'll be careful. Fearless people get killed, Amara. Afraid people survive. She almost smiled. Do Yoon? Yes. If something goes wrong, nothing will go wrong. If it does, Mrs. Park. Promise me. If something goes wrong, Mrs. Park and Malik. Amara. His voice was so quiet she almost didn't hear it. If something goes wrong tomorrow, your son will grow up calling my mother Helmiani. He will never know hunger. He will never know fear. He will finish school wherever he chooses, and he will carry your name, and he will know that his mother was the bravest woman I have ever met. A pause. That is not a promise. That is a fact. Do you understand? She couldn't speak. She nodded. He turned to leave. Do Yoon? He stopped. Thank you. He didn't turn around. Don't thank me yet, he said and walked away. The call happened at 2:14 p.m. the next afternoon. Amara sat at a desk in a room with gray soundproofed walls. Two technicians behind her. Do-yoon standing at the back of the room, arms crossed, his face carved from stone. Her phone was routed through 3 anonymizing servers. Her voice was hers, unaltered. That was the point. Dennis Vance answered on the second ring. Who is this? Her hand shook. Do-yoon met her eyes across the room. One nod. Steady. Mr. Vance, she said. It's Amara. Amara Okonkwo. I'm calling because Marcus. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. How did you get this number? Marcus gave it to me. He said I had to call you. He said you'd pay him more if I called you myself. A long silence. Where are you? I'm somewhere he can't find me. He says he's been following me for 6 weeks, Mr. Vance. He says he was going to do it, but he wants more money now. He says 40,000 wasn't enough for... Her voice broke genuinely, because this part was not acting. For a baby. He says babies cost more. The silence on the other end went electric. Put him on the phone. He won't come. He said you'd say that. He said to tell you that he wants 60,000 cash by tomorrow or he walks, and he takes what he knows to the police. Dennis Vance laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. That idiot, he said. That absolute idiot. You tell him, Amara, and I know you're listening too, Marcus, wherever you are. You tell him that the deal was 40 to put the kid in the ground and the mother in the river. 40. Not 60. And if he thinks he can extort me, he can join the kid in the ground. I have 6 other people who will do this job for 30. Do you understand me? 6. Do-yoon's eyes closed very slowly. Just once. A man receiving a gift. I understand, Amara whispered. And Amara? Yes. You should have stayed in Houston, sweetheart. The line went dead. The lead technician looked up. Got it. Crystal clear. Time-stamped. Triangulated. He was in his study. All of it admissible. Do-yoon didn't move. He was watching Amara. She was shaking. Actually shaking. She set the phone down. She stood up. She took 2 steps away from the desk. And then, very quietly, she said, I want to see my son. Do-yoon crossed the room in 3 strides. He didn't touch her. He just stood very close and said, You did it. It's done. Dennis Vance is going to die in a federal prison, Amara. You just put him there. She looked up at him. Her eyes were wet. His were not quite. Door 4, she whispered. He reached out. Slowly, the way a man reaches toward a wild bird he does not want to startle, and he touched her cheek with the back of his fingers. I remember, he said. The headlines broke on a Tuesday morning. City Commissioner Dennis Vance arrested in murder-for-hire scheme. Victim's identity sealed for safety. Marcus Hale had already testified against him 3 weeks earlier, in exchange for a sentence that would keep him alive but would ensure he never saw daylight as a free man again. The audio of Dennis Vance's call, cleaned, verified, handed to the FBI through an anonymous source, was the anchor of the case. 4 of Dennis's political allies were currently under investigation for obstruction. 3 would be indicted by the end of the month. Amara read the article on a terrace overlooking the Hudson River, a cup of Mrs. Park's ginger tea cooling in her hand. Malik was on a blanket at her feet, chewing on the ear of a stuffed tiger Duyun had given him on his 15-month birthday. The door behind her opened. Duyun stepped out onto the terrace. He'd come back from Seoul the night before. He'd been gone 10 days. The tightness in her chest every morning he hadn't been there had told her something she'd been afraid to name. He sat down in the chair beside her, said nothing for a long minute. Then, "You read it." "I read it. How do you feel?" She thought about it. "I feel like a window opened," she said. "A window that's been closed since I was 22 years old. I feel like I can breathe, Duyun." He nodded slowly. "The offer," he said. "Door 1, door 2, they're still available. You know that. A house in any city. A new name if you want one, although the old one has nothing wrong with it anymore. Resources. Whatever you need. My word is my word." "I know. But..." She looked at him. "But I'm thinking about door 4. The corner of his mouth moved. The almost smile. The one she'd been studying for 6 weeks. "Amara. Yes. I am not a simple man. My life is not a simple life. There are people who would hurt you to hurt me. There are nights I will come home with blood on my hands, and I will not be able to tell you whose. There are going to be weeks when I am in Seoul or Busan, or somewhere I can't tell you about, and you will not be able to reach me. That is the life I'm offering you. I want you to see it clearly." "I see it. And Malik." "Malik already calls Mrs. Park Halmiani," Amara said quietly. "He already looks for you when he wakes up from his nap. He already knows you, Duyun. He chose you before I did." Duyun let out a breath he'd clearly been holding for longer than a breath should be held. He reached across the small table, and he put his hand over hers. It was the first time he had truly touched her. "Then door 4 is open," he said. The wind moved off the river. Malik made a small happy sound below them, the tiger forgotten, one hand reaching up for his mother, and Amara reached down with her free hand and caught his tiny fingers. 3 hands. 1 grip. 1 family, built in the dark, holding in the light. Amara Okonkwo sent a text to a wrong number on a night she thought would be her last. A man who had lost his sister read that message and decided, finally, irrevocably, that he would never again be a day too late. And somewhere in a city full of women pressing themselves behind dumpsters, praying that someone, anyone, was paying attention. 400 phones held a contact called HD07. Waiting. Ready. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved the story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.